Today is Monday, November 4th, and I'm just wondering if things can get any worse for the Dallas Cowboys.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Are all financial advisors fiduciaries? Fewer than you think. Not knowing could reduce your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Mitch Kramer, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. A fiduciary is a regulatory term to reduce conflicts of interest in wealth management. A fiduciary always works in your best interest. A non-fiduciary advisor might put their compensation or company ahead of yours. At Fluent Financial, we are certified financial planners acting as fiduciary advisors. To learn more, go to fluentfinancial.com or Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
You know Volvo's reputation for building beautiful, long-lasting cars. Well, Crest Volvo Cars, located at 121 on the Tollway in Frisco, has over 300 brand-new Volvos at terrific prices. And there's also that hard-to-find low interest available. When you're at Crest Volvo, say howdy to General Manager Mike Brusen. Then test drive your favorite Volvo. Crest Volvo, off 121 on the Tollway in Frisco. In 1993, Bob opened the original Bob's Steak and Chop House on Lemon Avenue. 32 years later, the original Bob still greets you at the original Bob's. And now his sparkling new Bob's at Craig Ranch has opened in McKinney. Same fantastic beef and fresh seafood at these two Bob's, each run by the Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Sunday, Dallas lost a game they really couldn't afford to lose. And we've all seen this act before. We've seen the same things contribute to why Dallas loses a football game. Like penalties, 9 of them. In the second half, drive number 1 of the second half. Remember, that started with the Cowboys down only 4 points. Drive number 1, a false start, sets the Cowboys back immediately, and that drive never recovered. Drive number 2, another false start, and then the always wonderful to hear 12 men on the field. Those two combined to stop a drive after 1 first down. But let's go to drive number 3. A holding penalty on Guyton. And that slowed and stopped a drive that settled for a field goal. Hey, in this game, 4 points difference, the field goal instead of maybe a touchdown. But wait, drive number 4. After 1 first down, the illegal formation penalty helped stop that drive. And drive number 6 slowed and eventually stopped by a false start on that man again, Tyler Guyton. And don't forget the first half, when Cavante Turpin had a wonderful return to set the Cowboys up in really good field position out near midfield, but that return was wiped out by a holding penalty that cost the Cowboys about 30 yards in field position. And then there was the dropped passes. 2 of them in particular. CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert back-to-back dropped passes in the end zone that would have been touchdowns on a drive with the Cowboys down 14 points that resulted in no points. And then there's horrible 3rd and 4th down conversion rates. The Cowboys were 3 for 13 on 3rd down and a dreadful 1 for 5 on 4th down. And by the way, the one conversion came basically after the game was decided in the mid to late 4th quarter when Cooper Rush was in the game. But we'll get to that in a minute. One of those 4th down failures on a conversion was the disastrous call of a fake punt with Dallas at their own 38-yard line. The snap came to Brian Anger, and Goodwin absolutely was not open. But what choice does Anger have? Cowboys didn't have a man out in the right flat for Anger to throw to in case his primary receiver was covered. So Atlanta took over at the Dallas 38. Remember now, this is with Dallas only trailing 4 points. And it took Atlanta 5 plays to be in the Cowboys' end zone to go up 21-10. Let me continue. This is somewhat of a new problem, allowing sacks. The Cowboys allowed 3. Now, they didn't cost them much yardage, but they were sacks. 3. Atlanta was dead last in the National Football League coming into this game. Atlanta had had only 6 sacks in 8 games, and yet they got 3 more today. And then there was that maddening Cowboy offense where they don't throw the ball downfield with any efficiency. They throw a lot of short passes. And with the game in the balance, while the game was in balance, that was the Cowboys' offense. A lot of short passes. Dak Prescott for the game, 18 for 24. Now, that's a good percentage. But for only 133 yards total. Thus, 24 passes total that netted 133 yards. That's only 5.5 yards per attempt. You want to be around 8 to have an efficient passing game. When Dak left, in came Cooper Rush. He threw 25 passes, completed 15. But the 25 passes and 15 completions netted only 115 yards. That's 4.6 yards a throw. That's dreadful. CeeDee Lamb, star wide receiver, targeted 12 times, 8 completions, but for 47 yards. That's 4 yards per target to your star wide receiver. I know all this is numbers, but this is junk. This is garbage. All these things are an indication of the Cowboys and what they don't do and can't do right. For the game, Dallas threw the ball 50 times. 50! And they netted 241 yards. That's 4.8 yards per attempt. And that stinks. Finally, I don't want to put this on one player. But you know, I've had some critical comments about defensive tackle Mazi Smith before. Mazi was the club's #1 draft choice in 2023. He didn't play very well last year. But when the Cowboys allowed Jonathan Hankins to go away in free agency to Seattle, Mazi basically inherited the job of starting defensive tackle. In the NFL, they put out this incredibly complete stat sheet after the game. And there's a stat sheet, obviously, for offensive players, but there's also a stat sheet for defensive players. In the game against Atlanta, 19 different Cowboy players had a tackle, an assisted tackle, a sack, a pass defended that can be a defensive back or a defensive lineman batting down a pass, or quarterback hits. 19 Cowboys had at least one of these. Mazi Smith, he had none. He does not appear on the defensive stat sheet for the game against the Falcons. It's almost like he wasn't there. Next, still to be revealed, is why Zeke Elliot was left home on this trip for disciplinary reasons. What did he do? Why was he left home? And realize Zeke is considered, even though his performance isn't very good this year, put him on a list with a lot of other Cowboys, but he's still considered a team leader and the best friend of Dak Prescott. Left home on a trip? What did he do? One wonders how far this Cowboy team will fall, because we could be in the midst of a free fall. They're 3-5. Looking at the NFC standings, you're going to have to be at least 10-7 to make the playoffs. And given certain tiebreakers, that may not even get you in. To reach 10-7, the Cowboys must go 7-2 their next 9 games. That's a pipe dream. That is a pipe dream. On the schedule still to come, 2 games against the Red Hot Eagles, including one next week. 2 games against the Washington Commanders. A game with Houston, a game with Cincinnati. Forget going 7-2 the last 9 games. But for a minute, if you can, for just a moment, forget what's happening on the field. In the last 3 weeks, Jerry Jones has gone ballistic against some talk show hosts for questioning his poor judgment on his moves. And then Jerry pointed fingers at head coach Mike McCarthy for his offensive play designs and his offensive play calling. And then CeeDee Lamb had that outburst against the reporter because he wasn't happy with the reporter and what he'd posted on social media. And now Zeke left home for disciplinary reasons. Add all this to the fact that the coaches, almost all of them, including head coach McCarthy, are in the last year of their contract. You can't be in a situation like this and not realize you're probably working someplace else next year. So last Monday on this podcast, I questioned whether the Cowboys are unraveling. Well, they've now lost another game. And it's becoming pretty evident that these Cowboys are going nowhere this season. Jerry Jones never likes to think, or for heaven's sakes, undertake the R word, rebuilding. But you know what? Sometimes the R word, reality, shoves the other R word right down your throat.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial. Retire sooner, better lifestyle.
And by Crest Cars. There's good, there's better, and then there's Crest.
By Star Power. Love where you live. And by Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will be delivered to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you know someone who might enjoy our work, please share it with them. I'm Norm Hitzges, and I'm always just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitchkus, and I'm just wondering too.